Want to tangle something that looks complex but is actually really simple and straightforward? Tripoli gives you stunning results with just one shape and a little bit of mindful repetition. So let's get into it. So today I'm going to go straight in with my ink and I'm going to tangle, as you can see, on this triangular shaped piece of paper. And this is a lovely, lovely tangle to do. It's one of my favourites. All we're doing is creating, I mean, you don't have to be creating these triangles that I'm drawing as a parallel to the outside triangle. That's just the way that that's worked out just now. And I'm going to create a bit more of a freeform version of Tripoli rather than, I'll show you what I mean. You see in this version, all of these are a little bit more uniform. The triangles are all kind of a similar size. The lines are all pretty straight. But today I'm going to demonstrate one that's just a little bit more unusual looking. So when you're creating your next Tripoli shape, don't think about anything else that you're creating other than this one line. Don't think, oh, I'm creating a triangle, so it has to be perfect. Just follow that line or that line that you had created originally. And you don't have to be thinking, well, that point's there, so this one. Just create a three-sided shape. You can make it curvy. You can have some of the lines curvy, some of them straight. It's just going to look really cool once we're finished. And we're trying to aim for consistency in having all of these lines be, like all the different Tripoli being the same distance apart from one another. If you're doing like a kind of more conventional Tripoli, you would probably end up having 6 Tripoli to form a circle, but sometimes when you're doing it more like this, you might have some circle, like for want of a better word, some clusters might have 5 Tripoli, some may have 7. This one does have 6, but it's just the way it's worked out. So just always auditing the shape right next to you. And you can do this tangle so that it disappears off the page if you like, or you can leave it just where it is. I think I'm going to make a big triangle in this one. So you see what I mean? This one we've got 6, but then if you look at this as a cluster, we've only got 5 here. And that's fine. I'm going to have that as if that triangle is disappearing off the edge of the tile. And I much prefer, I do tangle Tripoli in the other way as well, where they're a bit more structured and a bit more straight lined. But it feels almost like they're different tangles when you do them like this. So I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to fill this whole tile up. Don't think I've actually introduced myself yet in this video. So my name is Lisa, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And I live in Glasgow in Scotland, which is remarkably dry today. We had some rain yesterday. We were supposed to be, well, we were hoping to be out in the garden for my nephew's first birthday party, but we had to be inside instead. But we still had fun. It was a good party. So I've now filled that tile with all of the different three-sided shapes. And what I'm going to do now, this basically, this is a tangle that I'm teaching rather than a fragment, but it does work as a fragment. This is by Lynn Mead, I think. I will check that for my description and confirm that. But when you are doing this, just pick whatever three-sided shape you're going to go into first. And all you're doing is basically creating triangles inside triangles. It's really relaxing just to follow the line and then try and be nice and slow and intentional. Don't race ahead. Just enjoy this moment for what it is. Obviously, if you are creating a bit of a triangle, if you're tangling into it and it's disappearing off the edge, you're just going to use your imagination as imagining where that particular line should be that you're drawing. It was so lovely on Friday. I went into town, into the city centre of Glasgow, and I met up with Lorna. And Lorna is the first person who I ever taught. Well, unless you count rather. You know, my mum. She was actually the first person that I taught, but on a paid customer basis, Lorna was my first one-to-one student. I taught Lorna for several months. Became our Friday morning thing to do. That I would go into town. We would go to John Lewis. I don't know how international John Lewis actually is for my followers in the States and elsewhere, but certainly it's a department store in the UK. And we would go to John Lewis and get a coffee and a scone usually. Some jam and clotted cream. It was such a lovely way to spend a Friday morning. So I hadn't seen Lorna in quite some time. And we met up the other day. We didn't actually tangle. We were just having a social chat. It was really nice to see her. Hear what she was getting up to. She actually had a present for Isla. Part of the reason that she doesn't do tangling with me anymore is that she was doing a lot of crochet. She had a club that she was going to, and it was taking quite a lot of her time up. So anyway, she had crocheted a little bear, and she gave it to Isla, and Isla just loves it. Lorna might actually watch this video, so if you are watching, Lorna, thank you very much. Lorna had wrapped the bear in some cellophane with a nice little bow on it, and as soon as Isla saw the bear, she just fell in love with him, or her. It's a little girl bear, and yeah, she sat for ages, like the bear with the cellophane. She was holding on to this bear for dear life, as if I was going to take it away from her. It was very cute. So now that we've filled in all of the smaller triangles within this, the next step within facet is that we're going to connect all of these lines within each of the individual triangle shapes, like so. And then it's really cool because you start to get this meta pattern that I've alluded to before. A meta pattern just being a pattern that emerges while you're creating another pattern. It's really nice. Kind of starts to become almost a bit floral, or maybe more of a star, really. But just that process of going from triangle to triangle and seeing where you still need to add your lines to is very, very relaxing. And you can see how much of a change that's made. It's not a big change really in the terms of just adding a simple line, but it really does make a difference. It's amazing. I'm just doing that in all of the other triangles. And then you can see this triangle here. I had drawn that a little bit smaller to begin with. So it only had one triangle inside of it, and that's fine. If you have just little tiny triangles, don't fret about it. It's not a bad thing at all. The only thing that I would say about if you are using a jelly roll like I am to complete this fragment, just be careful. You can see like here I've smudged a little bit, and then there's a slight smudge there. Going right outside the line there, haven't I? Yeah, so just be mindful that this ink in a jelly roll pen dries a little bit slower than the likes of a micron pen ink would. Oops. Look at that. How cool. And so there are just lines everywhere. And if you weren't aware of the concept of the Zentangle method, you might look at that and think, oh, how would you go about doing that? Whereas it's just simple triangles within triangles and connecting the triangles with a line. And that is as simple as it gets. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, in these kind of corners of each of these triangular shapes, I'm just going to add a little bit of pastel pencil. And we're going to obviously smooth that out. But don't hurry yourself through this, just enjoy every moment. it's one of these things. I was talking to Lorna actually the other day about how self-care is so important. It really, really is important. It's not like, sometimes I think people just think, oh, I'll need to do so and so, such and such for so and so, and you kind of don't put yourself first. So I was thinking about somebody else and what you can do for them, but you need to look after yourself. I was talking a lot recently about the launch of my membership that I had coming up. I was planning to launch it at the start of June. I was very, very excited about it. I was talking about it in here. I put things out on social media about it. And then the closer and closer it got to time to launch, I thought, I'm not ready to do this. You know, I have this portal that I've bought and will be using for the membership. It looks amazing. But just my expectations of how quickly I would pull it together weren't very realistic. So I've postponed it. But I just thought, because I could have kind of pushed myself to get it out, and I thought, I don't want to be a person that doesn't practice what they preach. You know, I'm saying to people all the time, Zentangle is amazing for your mental health and helps with anxiety and all that kind of thing. I thought, I don't want to be making myself ill to get something like that out. Plus, I feel like when people are paying, like, you know, as much as I'm always saying, and it's true, as much as I'm always saying that there's no quest for perfection when you're doing Zentangle, I don't want to put out a rushed effort into getting a membership out. You know, if people are going to be buying something from me, I don't want to hurry it out like almost in a careless way. You know, I'd rather have a lovely product that I'm proud of, and I'm not making myself ill to prepare. So it's very much still coming, but I have not put a date on it. I've decided that I will, in the background, behind the scenes, I will be working on my membership. But I'm not going to do any launches or anything until I've got something ready to launch, and then I'll feel like, okay, I'm not chasing my tail so much. Because while it's not Isla's fault, I'm not saying that for a single second that it's Isla's fault. But she is at this kind of stage in her life. She's only 5, so she's not quite in a settled bedtime routine yet. You sometimes take ages to get her to go to her bed at night, and then, you know, she doesn't always sleep through the night either, and so I didn't even sometimes have the evenings to work on things when I would have liked to. And so I thought, no, I don't want to tell people self-care is so important and then not look after myself. It sounds kind of a bit silly. So I've done all my shading of this Tripoli now, and you can do this other bit that I'm doing, or you can choose to leave this. It's optional, but I'm just going into the very centre triangle of each of the Tripoli shapes, and I'm inking that in just to add a bit of drama in the middle sections. And I should have probably said this earlier, maybe I already have, I can't remember, but you don't need to do this particular filler that I am doing. You could use another one. There are so many triangular fillers. I don't know, obviously, because different people follow this channel, and even people that don't subscribe will see it. So I don't know if you have the Zentangle Primer book, but there are several triangular fragments in there that you could put into Tripoli, and I'll also show you a few examples of Tripoli tiles that I have as well once I'm completed this. It's really relaxing doing this tangle though. It's a good one. So that is Tripoli. And you can see like perhaps like these pastel pencil lines, I could maybe go over them again and kind of see if I can smooth them out a bit. I think, to be honest, the blending stump that I'm using is probably a little bit too broad for these individual shapes. So if I kind of, I'm a bit careless with where I put this, I would run the risk of putting the blending stump into the white areas where I don't want the pastel pencil to be. But you can certainly see at least one option here for how you could shade and fill your Tripoli. So I've obviously got this one as well. I think this one is the one that I did during the Zentangle seminar where I became a certified teacher of Zentangle. And what I loved about this one, this was a voice guided tangling session that was done by Molly. So we weren't following along to a video, it was literally just Molly describing what to create, and everybody came up with something completely unique to them, and yet it was all Tripoli. It was really cool. I really liked that exercise. This one is not actually, maybe that's not Tripoli at all. I'm just looking at that because that's kind of more, it's the same kind of idea of Tripoli, but it's like the 4 sides rather than the 3. So I suppose you could count it as Tripoli in the way that you're kind of growing it off one another, but it's not strictly Tripoli because it's not the 3 sides. This is the Tripoli that I created when I was following along with the Zentangle Bijou Be Well series earlier this year. I think it was just last month in May of 2025. This one is similar to what I did today, except I haven't joined those corners. So that looks quite cool. Then I've got, if you see, I've actually got quite a few Tripoli tiles today where I've done, I seem to go for this half rice shape with an orb smooshed in the middle. That's my favourite Tripoli shape. Maybe bring these ones just so you can see this on its own. So that's on black paper with the gold pen, which I think is quite cool. Zentangle had a project pack at one point, so it's kind of 2 tiles and one is a window onto the lower one. So you can see that there. It's just basically 3 lines within the Tripoli. And we've got this. I quite like when it kind of stops and it doesn't go quite to the edge and then I've got that border. It kind of just looks a bit more creative. We have the half rice shapes and the orbs here. More of those rice shapes and orbs. I'm just showing you them because they kind of look a bit different. Again. And then this one is almost identical, but it's really different because of the way, it's not just the fact that this one I've used the full tile, it's also the fact that this one, it just seems more like these lines are more bold, but this one, because it's like just so much bigger, I just really quite like the way that that's worked out. So there are so many different ways that you can fill. I mean, I haven't even mentioned half of the fillers that you could put in your Tripoli tile. So if you would like to hear more about my membership, you might want to join my mailing list. It's probably not going to be in the next few weeks, but you might just want to stay tuned. So if you would like to hear more about the membership, then click on the link that will be in my description. You will also get a free ebook. It's called The Art of Cam, and it's just to, if you are new to Zentangle, it's just to kind of walk you through a few different simple tangles and take you through from start to finish all the way through one complete project. So that's quite good fun. So if you would like that free ebook and to hear any more about my membership when it finally does launch, then you can click the link in the description and find out more about that. And if you have enjoyed today's video, if you feel nice and calm as a result, please do like the video as well. Just helps to push it out to other people, obviously, and shows your appreciation. So I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope to see you at another video in the future. Thank you very much and have a good week. Bye.